The primary election that determines whether or not Thomas Massie is going to keep his congressional seat happens in 1 week. And what do you know? A woman has now come forward saying that Thomas Massie behaved badly. It's really sort of unclear exactly what her accusation is. And I'm not saying that what she's saying isn't true. It very well might be, but it's hard to know exactly what her claim against Thomas Massie is. Essentially, what has happened is a woman named Cynthia West said that after Thomas Massie's wife died, she was his girlfriend. About 2 months after Rhonda died, Thomas Massie engaged in a relationship with this woman, Cynthia West. Things got hot and heavy. He eventually gave her a promise ring. He wanted to be around her more, so he helped her get a job in Washington, D.C. Then she says that he wanted deviant sexual behavior she didn't want to do. He then became emotionally abusive. They broke up. She then lost her job. She believes that maybe he pressured, for her to lose her job, and that he then bribed her with $5,000 to stay quiet. Conveniently, all of this is coming out 1 week away from his primary race, and that always raises suspicion. Again, not saying this woman is lying. I don't really know if she is, and she's probably telling her side of a breakup story, so it's probably true. It's her side of it, and even listening to it, I'm not totally clear where something illegal or something unethical or I don't know where something went wrong. But let's go ahead and watch the interview. She's sitting down with her attorney. We did speed this interview up, so they sound a little bit funny. But it was a very long interview, and in the interest of time, we sped it up so that we could kind of get to the meat of the story. But here she is talking about, coming forward, coming out with what Thomas Massie allegedly did to her.
Now, you said you got a promise ring, you were visiting with him, you're taking trips.
Yeah.
How would you say the relationship was developing? Was it a relationship that was either going to continue or end? How did he put it?
Well, because of my work schedule and my schedule with my kids, and it was intensifying so quickly, he said, we either ratchet up or we ratchet off. And because my schedule didn't align with his, that meant that I needed to leave my job, which terrified me. That's when I got the promise ring and everything. So yeah, there was a lot of intense pressure to move to that next level.
She said, by the way, that he slid into her DMs or something on social media. I think that's how they met. And then, because maybe she was commenting, she's kind of a politically active person. I don't know what her job was. I don't really even know what her history is. I'm sure we could dig that up, but it doesn't really matter. But apparently, so they started a relationship, and now she's saying they heated it up, and he's basically like, look, we need to spend more time together, and we either figure that out or we don't, and we either ratchet it up or we ratchet it out, I guess. And that makes sense. That's a normal progressing relationship. To me, there's no alarm bells there.
Did he want you to come to D.C.?
Yes, he did. He wanted me to go to wherever he was.
All right. Did you tell him you just couldn't get up and leave? Or, did you agree to just get up and leave? Or
I was very scared, but it was kind of like that was my ultimatum, right? And this was my fairy tale, so I thought, right? And so I didn't have a job, but then he texted me and he got a job for me at another congressional office that would have allowed me to, work that schedule to be with him.
This is kind of being framed like he's some sort of a creep that, is controlling her and making her quit her job so that they could be together. No, this is how it works when you're in a long distance relationship. When you're in a long distance relationship, at some point, somebody has to make concessions in order to be together. And usually it's the person who has less that they need to concede. So if that meant he could get her a job, he is a congressman. If that means he could get her a job, then if she's saying, no, I can't be with you because I have my job, then he's found a solution to this problem. And she's saying, it was kind of scary because, the framing, the words that are being used.
He got you a job?
Yeah.
At a congressional office?
Yeah.
So that you could be in D.C.?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you apply for a job?
No.
How did you learn that you suddenly had a job?
Well, he texted me the details, so he kind of arranged it with another member of Congress.
Who was the job with?
Victoria Sparks.
Is that the congresswoman from Indiana?
Indiana, yeah.
How does he know Victoria Sparks?
Well, they're colleagues and friends.
This attorney is framing it like Thomas Massie's some sort of controlling freak, right? Like suddenly he just got her a job and she didn't even know about it. And he just texted her and said, here's your job, you're going to take it. Like it's some sort of like she's under his control.
You told me that they were close friends, and I looked this up because I did not know her, was not familiar with her. I think I read that during the last vote for the Speaker of the House, Thomas Massie only got one vote as Speaker of the House, and that came from Victoria Sparks. They have to be pretty close for her to do that.
Yes.
Would you say?
Yes, they are.
So he had a very close friend in Congress give you a job so you could be in Washington, D.C. with him.
Yes.
Did you know much about her before you took that job?
Well, shortly before I took it, I had someone from another congressional office that I knew that sent me a worst bosses on the Hill. I
Sent you a what?
An article about how she's the worst boss on the Hill. Thomas assured me that it would be okay, but yeah, she has kind of a history.
Well, how did it work out for you working for her?
Not very well. I ended up getting fired, so there was that.
Well, how long did you work for her?
Oh, 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Okay. Well, during that period of time, how did you perceive your relationship with Thomas Massie was going?
Well, I ended up breaking off the relationship shortly after I started working for her and after trying to be in DC with him and work for her.
Why?
Well, he wanted me to engage in behavior that I wasn't comfortable. So I couldn't stay in that relationship.
Well,
Okay, and what does that mean? So she's saying that he wanted her to engage in, and it's her attorney clarifies, sexual deviant behavior that she wasn't comfortable with, and so that was it. What does that mean exactly? I mean, does that mean like he wanted to have sex and she wasn't ready for sex itself? Like, is that what that was? Was it he likes certain things and she's not into that, like maybe, I don't know, oral or who knows, right? Like, I mean, I'm just, you could list off all these things that you could imagine. It doesn't, when somebody frames it, it's again, like when she says, oh, it was scary. It's like when somebody frames it as sexually deviant, how do you know what's deviant to one is not deviant to another, especially when it's consenting adults. Like one person says, I like toys, and the other person's like, that's deviant behavior. I would never do that. That's unnatural. That's ungodly or whatever, right? I mean, so that's, what does that mean exactly? And she never clarifies. The attorney never clarifies. It's just basically they weren't sexually compatible is what that sounds like.
what did he say did you tell him you weren't comfortable?
Yeah, I did.
Did you object?
Yes, I did.
How did he react?
He'd get angry.
He'd get angry. So again, no clarification on this, just he'd get angry. Like, so a person saying, well, these are the types of things I always did before with my wife, and you're not interested in that, so I don't know how we could have a relationship. I mean, somebody could perceive that as being angry. He could be ranting and raving and throwing things. That could be angry, but if he was doing that, I think she would have said that. So again, these accusations are, so he would be upset that they were sexually incompatible. I think a lot of people in a relationship that they think is serious, that they think is going somewhere, he's given her a promise ring, he's gotten her a job in DC, and then he's like thinking they'd maybe progress into a more serious relationship, and he's wanting to have himself satisfied. I'm sure she wants, everybody wants to be happy in the relationship, and he's not, and so he's realizing it, and so he's getting upset, and she never clarifies what that means. So I think that's an important point. The fact she never says, well, he'd get really violent. He'd punch the walls. He'd get really angry. He'd yell at me. He'd pull my hair. He'd beat me up, like something, right? But we're not getting anything like that. It's extremely vague.
How did he treat you?
I would say emotionally abusive.
What does that even mean? Emotionally abusive. So that's just basically telling somebody, okay, then I guess I'm not that into you anymore. I guess we have to break up. I mean, saying to somebody, okay, I guess this is the end of the relationship and we're not really going anywhere. Somebody else could construe that as emotionally abusive because they think that breakups should be rainbows and butterflies. I'm not really sure. This is also very vague. And what bothers me about this is it's so vague without there being direct accusations of real true misconduct. And this is coming out 1 week before his election.
What'd you do?
Well, at that point I broke up with him.
Okay, so he didn't, so when she says that there was sexually deviant behavior, he didn't tie her down and rape her. I mean, that's what one would think with something like this, like a coming out to expose Thomas Massie. He didn't like force her to stay and trap her with her stealing her identification and keeping her in DC or telling her she's not allowed to leave, right? She's like, well, we broke up. Okay, yeah, that's what happens when two people are incompatible.
Did he ever make any contact with you after you broke up with him? in an attempt to either rekindle the relationship or apologize?
Oh, no, not for that.
No, so he didn't even say
What happened
anything
after
to
you broke up
her.
with him?
Well,
Did you keep working in D.C.?
I did, and it was bad, and I had to go to ethics, and I ended up getting fired.
How'd you find
Now-
out you were fired?
Wait a minute on that. Now listen to why she was fired.
Oh, a text message.
Was there any kind of allegation that you had engaged in misconduct? Any reason given for you being fired?
No, I hadn't done anything wrong.
Hold on.
How did Victoria Sparks react
When
when she fired you?
Well, obviously she was upset. Because she was concerned about me and engaging in ethics and those sorts of things.
Did she ever criticize you for anything?
She criticizes all of her employees for all of the things. She's a very angry person. I had never been written up for any issues. She was expanding what I was doing. But it was, when I started, she screamed at me for going to church. But she was engaging in behavior that I was concerned about. And so I believe that is why I was fired.
She was engaged in behavior she was concerned about. And so that's why she believes she was fired. So the Congresswoman was behaving in ways that Cynthia was concerned about. What does that mean? Does that mean Cynthia went and said something to somebody? Did she confront her boss and say, I don't like the way you treat me? Did she go to the ethics people and say, I don't like the way Cynthia treats me? And then Cynthia said, all right, then I've had it with you. You're done. But how does that connect to Thomas Massie? Because Thomas Massie got her the job. And so she works for Cynthia, and Cynthia, she's even admitting here, because let's just rewind that for a second.
She was expanding what I was doing. But it was, when I started, she screamed at me for going to church. But she was engaging in behavior that I was concerned about. And so I believe that is why I was fired.
She was behaving in ways I was concerned about.
All right. Now,
That has nothing to do with Thomas Massie.
are you familiar with the Office of Congressional Workplace Rights?
Yeah, I am.
How did you become familiar with them? How did you find out about them?
So I had been talking to ethics about some of the things that were happening. And so there's the Congressional Accountability Act, and they had said that these people in this office might be able to help me. So I started engaging with them.
When you made contact with them, were you provided with an attorney?
Yes.
Were you required to fill out any forms or identify any evidence or
Yeah.
identify witnesses?
Yeah,
Did you comply with all those requirements?
I did.
And in the course of filling out those documents, did you by any chance list Thomas Massie
I
as a
did.
potential witness?
I did, yes.
As
How
a
do you react to
witness. Hold on. As a potential witness. See how her lawyer kind of squeaks that in there. So he says, did you by chance list Thomas Massie as a potential witness? And she says, yes, as a potential witness. So she was going to the ethics committee about her boss, the Congresswoman, not over Thomas Massie's behavior.
Well, out of courtesy, when I started the process, I called him up to let him know. And he was very angry. And he said, you're just one person, that you can't make a difference, that you need to just walk away. And then he had $5,000 that he said that he would give me if I could just walk away. I didn't take it, though.
Did he offer you a check?
No, he has cash. So it's part of his cow money, right? It's his non-traceable money.
No, wait a minute. You said it's part of his cow money?
Yeah, because he's got cows. He sells cows and he gets cash.
Okay, so he's offering her his personal money. So first of all, and that's not illegal. So he's not offering her congressional money fundraised. She's admitting that. He's offering her money that he made off of selling a cow. Okay. So many jokes we can make out of that right now, but we're not going to do this. So anyway, he offers her $5,000, she says. But so you're somebody's ex-boyfriend. You got her this job, or maybe you're even the current boyfriend. It's kind of unclear on the timeline there. And she might be saying to him, well, I can't quit the job, so I just have to make a complaint because I need to keep the job. And he's like, why would you even do that? And she's like, well, I don't have any money and I got to move back, or whatever it might be. I mean, I'm just making up a conversation, but this is like a realistic conversation that could happen, to where he says, look, how much money do you need to move back? And she's probably like, I don't know, and he's like, I'll just give you $5,000 to help you move back. Like, I'll give you, what do you need? How much can I help you? I'll give you what you need to help you because I'm your boyfriend or your ex-boyfriend, and I moved you out here. And this is what ex-boyfriends and boyfriends, and people do during a breakup. And it's like, okay, yeah, I brought you out here and I'm going to help you get back, or whatever it is, right? But that's not, again, this is being framed like he's done something wrong. And she's admitting he did not use any sort of congressional taxpayer money, but instead it's, oh, well, but he used this the unclaimed cow money. So he's got cow money and he just has cash and he doesn't claim it. How the hell does she know if he claims it on his taxes or not? And how does she know all of the tax? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's tax write-offs when you sell a cow, for all I know.
Is it kind of?
He doesn't report it?
No.
So how do you react when you wouldn't take?
So that's the thing he's done wrong. Out of all of this so far, it's that there might be some cow money he makes that he doesn't report.
Well, he was very angry at that conversation. Yeah.
All right. Have you pursued both the ethics complaint and the claim under the Employee Act despite his efforts?
I did. Yes, I did.
Are either or both of them still pending?
Yes.
Are the things you've told me about your complaints to both the Ethics Committee and for the retaliatory firing contained in those documents that you filed with the government?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that when Thomas Massie handed you or offered you $5,000 in cash that you were the main witness in a federal legal proceeding seeking a remedy for what you believe was an injustice?
Yes.
Has there been any resolution of either one of those proceedings to date?
No.
Have they made any efforts to resolve this with you?
Yes. So I have an offer. It's at the House for approval, but settlement.
You have an offer of what?
Settlement for $60,000 to settle the case and for the retaliatory discharge in the Congressional Accountability Act violation with the Office of Victoria Sparks. But if I do that, then I have to sign an NDA, and so I can't do that.
You're saying that you were offered $60,000 only if you remain silent about all this?
Yes.
Do you have any documents to demonstrate that?
Yeah. I mean, it's right here.
Have you had further contact with Thomas Massie other than what you've described?
No, we haven't. We don't communicate anymore.
Don't you think that today's testimony might cost you the $60,000?
Oh, I know it will, but I mean, I've spent so much time fighting for transparency and justice and accountability that if I did this, then I would call into question my own integrity. I wouldn't be able to sit with that, so I can't do it.
Other than the fact that this settlement is conditioned upon you keeping silent, do you have any concerns that there might be any other recriminations taken against you or retaliatory acts taken against you
Oh,
for what you're doing here today?
Yes. I mean, I know about, he's got his Massie's Nasties and his whole gray ops. Then they've got, all these burner phones and accounts and not to mention his following, right? I know what the future holds for me or could hold for me, but it goes back to that integrity piece.
Well, on top of being a mom, you're a candidate for the school board, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm running for school board.
I mean, don't you think that this might even have some negative impact on your school board?
Yeah, but if I'm trying to make a difference there and I want accountability and integrity, I have to walk the walk,
How long have you been considering making this public?
Oh, too long.
Why now?
I'm going to have to sign that. I mean, it's at that point where I have to make that choice. And I can't do it.
Cynthia, if you don't mind, I'd like to say, in my opinion, you're a very brave lady.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you. But I mean,
I didn't hear anything.
My dad was a Green Beret. He was a career Green Beret. And my ex, I was a military spouse for over 20 years, 6 deployments. My son served in Army infantry. I mean, based on all the sacrifices that my family and what we've seen, this is nothing compared to that.
Okay. So let's talk about this $60,000 offer. This is a problem. This isn't just a problem with, Thomas Massie or Victoria Sparks' office. This is a congressional problem that we have in general. And this is money that is often offered, taxpayer money, which is offered by the it's offered by the congressional ethics. So the offer came through the Congressional Workplace Retaliation Ethics Complaint process, and they often pay out thousands of dollars in these types of complaints. So this was a formal settlement offer that was tied to her pending workplace retaliation claim under the Congressional Accountability Act, and it would have required her to sign an NDA and drop the complaints, but she decided to come out with this instead. And my guess is she's probably offered a whole hell of a lot more than $60,000 by the AIPAC groups that want Thomas Massie out of office. My guess is at a zero. And maybe not even that much. Maybe you don't even need that much in order to talk somebody into this. But this is, unfortunately, legal money that is given. a lot of us are very critical of this slush fund that is used to pay off people with complaints. It shouldn't even exist at all, quite frankly. Because all it does, for one, is it encourages people to come forward with complaints and get money. So a lot of them, I would imagine, knowing that they're going to get some sort of an offer, are fake. And they then collect money knowing that, they got fired, so they could just go and file a complaint and get a little bit of money and walk away. And that is a huge problem. They shouldn't be doing that at all. But it is legal, unfortunately, what they are doing. And a lot of these complaints are fake and none of them are proven. So it means nothing when they're offered this. This isn't like, and this isn't Thomas Massie did it or even that Victoria Spartz did it. It is our freaking Congressional Accountability Ethics Committee does it. And it is something that absolutely should be stopped. But I'm not hearing anything in this interview that is like, oh, Thomas Massie's a huge problem. I mean, Thomas Massie's a human being. So first of all, he is allowed to get mad sometimes, and he's allowed to have breakups, and he's allowed to have, fights with wives and children and girlfriends, and he's allowed to be a sexual human being who likes certain things, and as long as it's with another consenting adult, fine. I mean, these are all things that I don't think any of us are listening to this thinking there's anything here that's really, truly alarming, except you've just said, well, Thomas Massie's a bad guy. And we're all supposed to sit here and nod along and say, wow, it sounds like it. Like, gee, what a jerk. You guys broke up. And it was, I'm sure he has his side of the story that makes you sound like a bad woman, a crazy lady that no guy should even date. So this guy, Stephen Doan, he writes up, he's an attorney, and he says this, and he dug up some things on Cynthia West. And I think these are relevant. They sort of matter. So that's the only reason why I'm bringing this up, because I don't really like bringing up somebody's past when it's with these accusations. But in this case, I think it is somewhat relevant. He says, as a family law attorney who's represented numerous victims of domestic violence, I've been deeply troubled by the circulating sworn statement from Cynthia West alleging emotional abuse by Congressman Thomas Massie. After listening to the statement twice, I was struck by the complete absence of any specific, verifiable allegations. There were no claims of physical abuse, no harassing communications, no documented threats, and no evidence of any kind. Only vague assertions without supporting facts. Out of professional duty, I examined the available record. Miss West has a documented history of making false abuse allegations, notably during the very period she claims to have been involved with Congressman Massie. She filed sworn accusations of emotional and physical abuse against the father of her children. On October 1st of 2024, she swore under oath in an affidavit to these claims. However, after the court reviewed all of the evidence, the allegations were dismissed in full. I have sat with real victims, both men and women, who've endured genuine domestic violence and harassment. I have fought alongside them for protection and justice. It is precisely because of that experience that I find it so damaging when someone makes false accusations. So this is the complaint that he dug up, where she had filed saying that her ex-husband or the father of her children was abusive to her, and this was completely dismissed by the courts. So she didn't have any evidence of this. So you layer this, which is around the time that she was dating Thomas Massie. Let's actually look that up, because this was October 1st. And his wife died. So she's saying that she engaged in a relationship with him starting 2 months after his wife died. His wife died in June of 2024. So August, September is around the time she started dating Thomas Massie. This should have been a red flag to him. Then she goes and files this complaint against her husband, her ex-husband at the time. She was legally separated, so her husband. And then later goes and files against Victoria Spitz, and then against Thomas Massie. So I think that's a bit relevant, that there's all of these claims, and yet there isn't none of them, maybe with the Congresswoman. I mean, I don't know. But we're not seeing any actual verifiable evidence of this. And so, again, 1 week in front of the primary race, she was offered $60,000. AIPAC donors, I'm sure, are offering her a whole hell of a lot more to come forward and to talk like this and to basically try to smear the guy. but without actually any smears. I mean, you think that they'd be able to dig up something better than this, but maybe the guy's actually kind of squeaky clean. And yeah, after his wife died, people go through a lot of trauma. His wife died pretty suddenly, so he probably, was out of his, people make mistakes right after a spouse passes away. We hear this time and time again, or they get a divorce, and they date like the wrong person. And it sounds like they both were just dating the wrong person and they broke up. And kind of reminds me of that Me Too story. Who was it? What was his name? Like Anzi or Anziz? I don't know. I'm totally not saying his name right, but it was something kind of like that, where the woman basically described just a bad date. And then she's like, see? And everybody was like, this is just a bad date. Like, what are you describing here? But she was trying to get in on the Me Too movement. And that's kind of what sounds like is going on here. Now, I'm sure from her perspective, that's what happened. He asked her to do things in the bedroom she didn't want to do. And she's like, ew, gross, I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, then we're not really compatible. And she's like, wow, you're really emotionally abusive of me. I moved out here for you and I did all these things for you. And this is how you treat me. And he's like, well, yeah, we got to break up. And then they broke up. I mean, that's what it's sounding like. And it sounds like the person that should be scrutinized in this would be the congresswoman that she was working for. Maybe we got to look more into her work ethics and behavior. That's the person who really is actually kind of implicated in all of this. And the fact that Thomas Massie has cows that he sells and maybe doesn't claim all of that cow money. But again, 1 week to his primary. Let's hope this doesn't. I mean, I'm hoping this doesn't dent him. I don't hear anything here that's worth denting his reputation for, or his chances at Congress, or all of the good that he does so far. But if more comes out, then we will always remain open to that. But at this point, I'm not hearing anything worth really hearing. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, for free at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.